Good afternoon and welcome to the Asian Midday Market Watch. Our guest today is Kelvin Wong, market strategist at CMC Market. Kelvin, thanks for coming in.
Hi, Brian. Good to be back again. Good to see you after about 3 weeks.
Yes, that's right. Before we get your insights, Kelvin, let's take a look and see how the crypto markets are performing and then a look at regional markets. So we've got Bitcoin, which is at 44,039. It's up 5.12%. Ethereum is up sharply. It's at 3,114. It's up almost 10% at 9.54%. Across regional markets, today we've got the Nikkei, which is at 29,639.4. It's down 0.67%. The Shanghai Composite is at 3,649.57. It's up 0.58%. The Hang Seng is at 4,388.5, up 0.69%. And the ASX 200 is at 7,368, up almost 1% at 0.97%. Now, looking at markets closer to home, the SGX is at 3,074. It's up 0.86%. And rounding off the numbers, we've got Bursa Malaysia, which is at 1,537.42. It's up 0.55%. Kelvin, what's your view on the positive market performance across the region?
Yeah, because from what we could see, there are actually primary two drivers that actually kind of a kickstart or trigger this particular short-term positive feedback look that we see in the ASEAN stock markets this morning. So number one, let's talk about the Federal Reserve FOMC meeting last night or yesterday early morning. So what we could see right now is I would say overall it's more like a dovish tempering stance rather than the hawkish tempering stance. So why do I say so? Because if you look at the way Powell and the dot plot that's being portrayed by the markets, portrayed by them, by the Federal Reserve, number one, for sure, markets have already been pricing that they will start to temper before this year end. So they're looking at start of November and to be completed in somewhere around middle of 2022. 2022, yeah, 2022. So meanwhile, right, if you look at the dot plot, which is i.e. the expectation of the first rate hike among the Federal Reserve officials, so they start to pen in one hike in 2020, in 2020 median. We talk about the median hike. So on the median, one for 2020, previously was 0. Then you have total of 9 dot plots see a hike in 2022. All right, so what you could see over here is pretty much split right now at this moment in time. But what market has really expected, right, is that number one, the needle of the first rate hike still remains unchanged. That means we are talking about the first rate hike to actually come in terms of the Fed funds futures pricing based on the CME Fed Fund Watch 2, higher probability somewhere around in Q3, Q4 next year. So there's still quite some time back towards there. So number one, so what we could see that this is actually, yes, the Fed going to temper, but they're not going to drain out liquidity in terms of interest rate hike so soon. So that's actually explained that a positive performance seen on the US market that's been fit into Asia market this morning. Then on the other hand, right, let's talk about this China Evergrande. Okay, so you all know that China Evergrande itself has causing a bit of hoo-ha or a kind of a contingent fear since last Friday and spreading over to Asia.
For this year, Kelvin, it's down, just for our audience, almost 80, more than 80%. But in the last day, in fact, today's trading, it's pared back about 12%.
Yes. So actually, if you look at what happened on Monday, we start to see a kind of synchronized global sell-off across risk assets. So we're mentioning a particular sensitive to stocks itself. From Asia, we start selling off to Europe and starting splitting off to even in US itself, where the S&P and the Nasdaq actually gapped down from last Friday's open. So what we could see over here is that number one of the reason markets are kind of fearful is due to the risk of default, which is number one in terms of timing wise. Evergrande do not have much time on their hands because in fact today there's actually 2 bonds that's being due, onshore and offshore bond. So that because of these 2 bonds, right, is causing a kind of a default risk to Evergrande that may spike up a greater systematic risk in China itself by impacting the local banks. But however, if you look at what happened yesterday, right after the Chinese markets reopened for their 2 days of mid-autumn festival holidays, starting from Monday and Tuesday, the authorities PBOC itself actually added in additional liquidity into the financial system, which is through repos agreement. So what you could actually PBOC or the China Central Bank just signal to market, hey, we are actually watching very closely the liquidity situation in China. That means, yes, there might be a liquidity crunch for Evergrande, but we want it to ring fence it among only isolated it according to the property sector rather than allow it to spilling over to the financial sector or the banks,
Sector.
China bank. So that actually causes a positive feedback loop or kind of a reduce the systematic fear of Evergrande. Okay, then on the other hand, do not forget that over here is that yesterday itself, there was actually a negotiation between among the bondholders, the onshore bondholders, to actually number one, I believe what is there's no clear thing. It just say that negotiations that are being made. So it could imply that Evergrande itself has managed to come out some cash to pay this onshore bond coupon payment that is amounting to roughly around I can't remember. I don't have the exact figure, but 200 million in 200 million yuan in total for this onshore has already been settled, either paid in full or actually there's some kind of structured deal being done to delay the payment via partial terms. So what's not unclear is there's another coupon that is due today as well, which is the offshore bond. That is total coupons amount is about 83.5 million. But that doesn't actually derail the positive sentiment that we see so far in the South Asia. One reason why, because there's actually a report, because this one is not clear yet. There was a report in some media actually stating that actually Evergrande a rescue package, not really a rescue package, it's more like a deal to restructure Evergrande into three different business identities. There be three different separate units, but
Right.
all this this is going to be backed by state-owned enterprise. So if that actually paints out as accurate as the media is being reported, that means, i.e., what it actually says as the Chinese government is not actually turning a blind eye towards Evergrande. That means, number one, they do not want it to actually have a disorderly kind of debt default. So what they do is that they want to they will actually restructure it accordingly, but they do not want to have a direct bailout to actually create a kind of moral hazard in the property sector, because as you know that since the start of this year, part of the central government policy is to actually start pruning in the unproductive activities in the property sector. That means they do not want to see property sector going out into a cowboys land or non-boys land that over
Yes.
leverage, yeah. So this is the scenario they're actually trying to prune. But so that's why they do not want to see an explicit ballot of that could create a moral hazard. But on behind, they are trying to actually have a kind of a implicit, I would say that, a structured deal to actually kind of soften the blow of this Evergrande debt crisis that we are actually seeing right now.
Now, Kelvin, thank you very much for your detailed insights into the China situation in particular.
My pleasure, Brian.
Now, we've been speaking to Kelvin Wong, the market strategist at CMC Markets on Biztech Asian Midday Market Watch. I'm Brian Fernandez. Please like and subscribe to our various platforms as well as our website, www.biztech.asia. Thanks again for tuning in.